Hey guys, so a stock that a lot of people have been asking me about lately is Netflix stock here. And the main question people are asking is, can Netflix continue pushing up, or is it time to short the stock and pull out as soon as possible? Now, if we take a look here at Netflix's 1 year graph, you can see that the highest price they've had in the last year is around the $380 mark, which is the same price they were costing immediately before the coronavirus hit. Now, immediately after the virus, they fell all the way to around $300. So that's an $80 drop. But what investors didn't really realize about the stock is that it was going to be benefited by the corona and by the fact that a lot of people were going to be at home and with a lot of free time to be getting new subscriptions and watching movies and streaming them, which is the main stream of revenue for Netflix stock. Now, as a result, the stock climbed all the way from $300 at its low to now 450, which is a huge movement for this stock at about $150 of upside. However, you can see that in the recent past, they've crashed about once or twice here as soon as they reach these price highs at around the $430 mark and $450 mark. Now, in the last few days, Netflix has been coming down very, very strongly. Like I said, they hit the 450 mark and immediately came down. You can see that this crash is very, very strong and even stronger than their climb up to around the $430 mark, which is where I think a lot of investors would price them at this moment. Now, if we look at their revenue here and their earnings, you can see that they actually hit below in quarter one of 2020. However, these quarter one earnings don't include the January, February, and March months where a lot of people were inside their homes and where most of Netflix's revenue was probably earned. A lot of this bullish move that Netflix stock had was as a result of these months, and it wasn't shown in the earnings, and it's what a lot of people are assuming that has gotten a lot more subscriptions, maybe even in the millions, and that's why the stock is bouncing how it is. However, if we look at the 1 month chart here, we can see that they have returned to around the $430 price range, which was the high of around 1 month ago. So in the last month, the stock really hasn't gained much. So what does this really mean? Is that investors are very wary of the price motion now. You can see that they crashed, came up again and crashed. So if this cycle continues, you might be wanting to expect another run up. However, I'm actually very, very bearish on the run up, and that's actually because a lot of workers are going to be returning to their jobs very soon, and they're going to be starting to cancel these subscriptions that they had while they're at home, and a lot of people are simply not going to have the time to watch as many movies and streaming services as they did in the previous few months. Now, what's one thing that could keep causing Netflix's stock to push up is that a lot of companies such as Facebook, Google, and Verizon actually have told their workers to simply stay at home and continue working from their home offices. So what this means is that maybe people will be able to continue having that extra time and will be able to continue subscribing and using these services on a daily basis, which is what has been pushing Netflix's stock so high. Now, the next earnings, whenever it does come out, which should be around July 21st, you can see that I tried to buy a put here about 30 minutes ago, or actually, I think that was yesterday. But yeah, I'm actually very bearish on Netflix. It didn't go at the price I wanted it to. And I'm actually very, very sad that it didn't because I would have actually gained a lot of money as today was one of the biggest drops the stock has ever seen in the last few months. So yeah, if you wait for July 21st, I think that the stock will hit a very high earnings and a very high return. However, I think that the move might already be priced in. Like I said, if we look at this movement, it's around $150 push. So what kind of millions of subscribers would have to join the service to create this kind of push is a very substantial amount, and maybe even 50% more people than already were subscribed to Netflix have to have subscribed for this type of move. So I feel that when the earnings hit, they will be high and will be above the estimate. However, they won't be high enough to continue this price movement. You can see that the stock has ran up and pulled back and ran up and pulled back. And this is as a result of people thinking, okay, maybe we've gone too high, we've gone too high. And you can see that today, where they had their largest crash of around $15, they weren't able to recover towards the end of the day, and we're actually just on this slow grind here, which doesn't bode well. It means that a lot of investors didn't come into the market to push the stock either way. So what this means is that people are really waiting to see what happens with Netflix stock. And like I said, I'm actually very bearish on them continuing their price motion to around the $500 range. I really don't see Netflix hitting the $500 range, as they have never hit this price before. And the highest price they've ever hit is around $400 at their height. And even when they did hit $400, this was off investor speculation. It wasn't because they had the same million amount of subscribers that they have now and subscriptions that they have now. So yeah, now that they hit the 450 range, I feel that they're going to start selling off to around $400, or maybe they're going to stay flat around this $430 range. However, I don't see them pushing up to around the 450, 470 range unless the SPY does something crazy and runs up to around $310, which I genuinely don't think could happen, as we just saw today the first time that jobs numbers were released and the SPY sold off. So yeah, in the past, the SPY has seen these job numbers and has actually increased even though millions and millions of people have lost their job. However, today the SPY actually sold off very strongly, and you can see that as a result, a lot of these stocks didn't perform well that usually would be climbing in a situation like this. Because since the SPY is selling off, it means a lot of people might be at home, whatever. But yeah, Netflix wasn't able to profit off this move as they had been in the last 3 months. So yeah, guys, keep a close eye out. If you're invested in Netflix, be very careful, because they could run down as a result of the fact that a lot of people are going to start working again, are going to start going out, and are going to start canceling these subscriptions in the near future. However, for their earnings, I feel that they could hit above, as their earnings is going to be encompassing this January, February, March, and April months where a lot of people were unfortunately stuck at home. So yeah, guys, as always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and thanks for watching.